talking college sports in the Deep South where college football is king. And we want to think the SEC is one of the better conferences in college football. Of course, the SEC West with its strong rivalries, one of the better sub-conferences. And in East Alabama, where Auburn University rests, the battle cry is a resounding War Eagle. Once again, it's K2 to go for Vernon Speaks Sports. We're talking Auburn football like nobody's business. Even here in the offseason, it is May. We're a couple of months away from the Advocare Classic, but still a lot of moving parts for the Auburn Tigers during the offseason. Of course, you have recruiting that is definitely in full effect. Auburn wants to take advantage of some of the greater talents in America. A lot of that won't be solved, though, until late November. And, of course, we remember the drama that unfolded right before on signing day as George Pickens flipped to the University of Georgia. George Pickens, the former all-star high school wide receiver out of Hoover, Alabama, that made a pledge to Auburn all the way up until signing day, going over to the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, more recently, in recent news, Gus Malzahn has been under attack for his style of offensive play, most recently from Michael Lombardi. He's a former NFL executive and now has a podcast where he likes to talk about, different things. He's also a Super Bowl winner. So he's very well versed in his craft. Made the statement that Auburn's offense is inept at best. And that garnished some responses from myself. Late Kick, who was also on YouTube, gave a response as well. Even in the coaching arena, Tommy Tuberville gave his take on this subject, and Michael Lombardi did not detract any of his statements, basically saying he meant everything he said about, Gus Malzahn and the offense and how it is inept at preparing quarterbacks for the NFL. Now, my takeaway is Gus actually responded to this, and he was very, very amicable in his response. And he'd say, I'd like to say this. I've been in the league 10 years, and we've been pretty successful offensively. Last year was a tough year. We were very inexperienced. We had some growing pains, but I feel really good about our offense moving forward and really excited about the future. Now, this is my takeaway from a response like that. Gus Malzahn obviously takes huge ownership over the offense. He really predicates and prides himself on running a very, very effective offense. If you look over the years, Gus Malzahn, especially as a play caller, has been very effective for the Auburn Tigers. So I can imagine how a statement like this could, kind of ruffle some feathers. But when you think about it, Auburn has other things, to think about. You're talking about trying to solidify depth in certain positions via JUCOs and things of that nature. So you really don't have time to really take to heart something that a former, he's not even a current NFL exec, a former NFL exec, it's no need to fall for these types of distractions going into a very high consequence 2019 season. Great PR on Gus Malzahn's part as well, because there's no need to start any really ridiculous beefs over, like I said, something that's very, very non-essential for the Auburn Tigers coming into the 2019 season. So, of course, the question is going to be asked, and the media looking for a story is going to ask basically, Gus, how do you feel about this? I mean, Gus gave about the best response that you possibly could in this situation, because there's no need to create controversy. There's no need to create any type of negative connotation about yourself in the media, especially over something as menial as this. Of course, we all would like to think that Jarrett Stidham had a huge upside, that he had a lot of talent, and that he probably should have, under any other circumstances, should have gone in a higher round and maybe even have been a little bit more developed than he was. But the truth of the matter is he wasn't. Jarrett Stidham at times didn't take advantage of his own opportunities. So those are things that we have to look at when we, look at statements like this. And like I said before, Gus Malzahn has no reason to, really rant and rave about the comment that was made. I would go out on a limb and say, had it been Nick Saban, of course, he would have not only probably lash back because that's his interviewing style at times. But he also would have probably, quote unquote, from a perception standpoint, been accepted because of it. Gus Malzahn, unfortunately, just doesn't have the luxury to go ranting and raving off in the media, especially at this point in his career where he's trying to, really solidify his place as Auburn's head coach of the future. So you don't have time to be, rambling and ranting in situations like this. So that's one of my those are some of my takeaways when you talk about a response to basically being disrespected to a certain degree concerning your offense. Saying it's inept, saying it's the worst in college football. But Gus Malzahn has the numbers, at least as a play caller, to prove otherwise. Now, in the comment section, tell me what you think about Gus Malzahn's response to Michael Lombardi's comments. And then we can go ahead and lay this thing to rest and start talking about some other things as it relates to Auburn football. Once again, this is K-Stu the GOAT for Vernon Speaks Sports. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Make sure you leave a comment in the comment section about how you feel about Gus Malzahn's response. War Eagle.